Greetings aspirants, welcome to Narayana IAS. So this is Karthik Moni, I'm here for daily news analysis. For today's session, I have picked up 5 important articles from Hindu as well as Indian Express. The first article is about India's equity demands. So this month end, we are expecting COP28 climate talks. So in that, the article demands for the developing nations press for higher climate equity. So that is the idea of that article. And second article is about engaging with APEC. So here the article highlighted the importance of APEC for India. And third article is about the study of sea ice in Antarctica. And fourth article is about the recent World Health Organization survey on misuse of antibiotics. And finally, we'll be having a prelims article related to the Lokchak Lake and its threat to Sangai deer. Coming to the first article, we have COP28, India's equity demands. So exam point of view, we can expect question related to the COP28, the outcomes of COP28, and also we can expect questions related to the concepts such as carbon equity, the concept of common but differentiated responsibility, and also we can expect question related to global carbon budget. Apart from that, we can use these concepts in the mains examination as well. So this article is very important because we already had a question in 2021 regarding the outcomes of 26th session COP26, and also they wanted us to write the commitments made by India in that particular conference. Not only in 2021, in the previous years also, there are many prelims as well as mains questions. That's why we are stressing more on climate related articles. Coming to the context, so this month end, we will be having COP28 climate talks that is going to be held in United Arab Emirates. So according to this article, there is a need for developing nations to reinforce the concept of climate equity. So here the word, the climate equity, is nothing but, so we want, the global nations want to share the climate responsibilities equitably. So that is the idea. So we have to consider the socio-economic needs of the nation. So that is the first idea. Second thing, we have to consider the capacities and the capabilities of the nation. And finally, we also have to think from the perspective of historic emission. So why? Because there is a huge disparity in terms of emission which happened in the past century. So we have to consider those things into the picture while allocating the climate related responsibility. So as a developing nation, India have to reinforce more, or India want to highlight more on climate equity in the upcoming COP28 climate talks. So this is the context of this article. So from this context, we have to know about what is the need for climate equity. In the era of climate catastrophe, we are considering the global carbon budget as a resource. So what is meant by global carbon budget? So this is the definition. It is a possible cumulative quantity of the emission available to limit the increase in temperature. Yes, in the Paris Agreement itself, we committed, the global nations committed to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius from the pre-industrial era benchmark temperature. So this is the commitment. So we know that there is a direct correlation between the increase in temperature and the increase in emission. If you are increasing the emission, then the consequent temperature will also be high. So for that, we have to reduce the emission. In order to reduce the temperature, we have to reduce the emission. So here we have very less scope for the emission. So carbon emission, the possibility of having carbon emission is comparatively low. So that's why we are considering the aspects of carbon budget. So here I consider the word, or I am using the word global resource, because the climate interventions are happening in a global nature. So we are planning, we are assessing the impact, and also we are doing the interventions in the global aspect or global level. So that's why we are considering, or we are using the word the global resource. So now we have to know that the developing nations need some more scope to emit. We need some more space to emit more carbon, because there is a huge disparity. So already the developed nations use that scope to emit more and they attain the economical developments. Now we have to consider the concept of necessary emission. Why? So there is a need for balance. So balance is very much important, because we have to consider the aspirations of developing as well as developed nations. We want to balance the environmental aspiration as well as socio-economic aspirations. Especially when it comes to the developing nations, this balance is very much important, right? For that reason, we have to stress more on the climate equity. So the developing nations, the less developed nations want to get its fair share in the global carbon budget. So in this aspect, it is very important. Adding to the same discussion, we have to think from the perspective of historic emission. I'll give the numbers. As per the IPCC AR6 report, the per capita emission of CO2, the fuel from industries emission report, the South Asia 1.7 tons CO2 equivalent per capita, and the number is 15.4 tons CO2 equivalent per capita for North America, and for the world average, the global average is 6.6 ton CO2 equivalent per capita. So look into the numbers. The India, that is South Asia. So not India, the South Asia, the number is comparatively low. So when compared to the global average, as well as when compared to the number related to North America. So historically, the developed nations emitted more. So this historical divide has to be highlighted. So that's why we are demanding climate equity. And also I have to highlight the another number as well. So contributions of South Asia, the historical cumulative emission is only 4%. So look at the number 4%. The cumulative emission is only 4%. The South Asia's contribution is 4%. But it accounts, the region accounts around 24% of the entire world. Yes, the space occupied by the developing and less developed nation is comparatively low, but it is very high when compared to the developed nations. This historical emission disparity has to be highlighted, and for this reason we have to demand for climate equity, right? Second aspect is the undue pressure. Yes, we are facing the problem of the climatic catastrophe. So we have to take some stringent action, otherwise the catastrophe will create unexpected consequences. The climatic catastrophe, the damage created by the climatic catastrophe will be very high, right? So in the IPCC report itself highlighted that already the existing emission led to 1.07 degrees Celsius increase in global warming, which means almost 4/5 of the global carbon budget was already exhausted, which currently we have only limited scope, that is 1/5 of the entire the atmospheric emission possibility is there. So now it is creating undue pressure across the globe, irrespective of the development. The developed nations and also developing nations and also less developed nations is also facing the problem that we have to make stringent actions. So I'll give some extra numbers that United States have to prepone its zero emission target to 2030, and also Germany and also European Union as a whole have to prepone its zero emission target by 2030. Then only we can able to reach the aspired the number, that's 1.5 degrees Celsius. So the increase in global warming can be limited to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2030. So we can able to get the idea that the pressure which we are having to reduce the impact of climate change is very high. So in such a situation, there is a possibility that the fair share of global carbon budget will be deprived for developing as well as less developed nations. So in this aspect, we have to highlight the need for climate equity. Now we have to know about why the global carbon budget a matter for India. The first thing is developmental pressure. India is still having the problem of poverty. So poverty alleviation is a major responsibility, and also it is a prior responsibility for India. So in order to sustain the poverty alleviation measures, we have to ensure the high economic growth. So poverty alleviation, we need some carbon budget, and also in order to sustain the poverty alleviation measures, we need economic growth. For that aspect also, we need global carbon budget. So first idea is India's developmental pressure. So for that, we need more scope to emit, and also for the energy access and transition. India as a nation is aspiring to secure energy access to all. It wanted to give access of energy to all. So here, India is depending more on fossil fuels. As of now, especially when it comes to the industry and also when it comes to the service sector, that is transportation, we are relying more on fossil fuels. So when it comes to the transition aspect also, so looking into the alternatives, the cleaner energy, the scope for cleaner energy is comparatively low. Why? Because there is a increased cost burden, and also the immediate transition is also not possible. Why? Because the cleaner technology or development of cleaner technology needs more time. Because in the development of cleaner technology, India is in the nascent stage, and most of the cleaner technologies are owned by the Western nations, and they are hesitant to share such cleaner technologies. So transition is also a problem for India, and also the per capita emission is comparatively low. As I already highlighted, the per capita emission of CO2 fuel from industries emission is 1.07 ton for South Asia. So comparative to the global average and comparative to the North America's average, it is very low. So that we have to highlight, and also we have to highlight that historically the emission from India as a cumulative number is comparatively low. So that's why the carbon budget is a matter for India. So for the developmental aspirations, for the energy security point of view, and also in terms of historical emission also comparatively low. So in these aspects, global carbon budget is a matter for India. So in the upcoming COP28, India should reinforce the need for climate equity by citing that the developmental needs of the developing as well as developed nations is more. So the developmental aspirations, the poverty alleviation measures are priority. So India have to present its developing aspirations to get its fair demand, and also India have to highlight that the UNFCCC convention itself highlighted the concept of common but differentiated responsibilities. And also India have to highlight that it is acting responsibility when it comes to the climate interventions. India is actively indulging in promoting International Solar Alliance and also Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and also in promoting Global Biofuel Alliance, and also India is actively promoting Life Mission to increase the awareness about the climate change. So we can cite that India is acting as a responsible player, so that the emission scope given by the global nations can be used for the developmental needs. And also India have to highlight that the climate finance commitment is also comparatively low. So India have to demand for fair share in global carbon budget till the finances are rooted in a fair manner. Coming to the next article, we have engaging with APEC. Exam point of view, this article is important because we can expect some prelims question, direct prelims question, factual question from the APEC summit, and also we can expect some question related to mains perspective as well. So in the mains examination, we can expect question why it is important, why this summit is important for India. So that can be a possible question. We already had a question in 2017 regarding the APEC and also related with New Development Bank. So we can expect similar prelims question in the upcoming examination as well. So coming to the context part, recently in 2023, the APEC summit was concluded and it happened in San Francisco, United States. The theme of this meeting is creating resilience and sustainable future for all. So now let's get into the factual details of APEC. So it is a regional economic forum. It was established in 1989. So this forum was created for the objective of integrating both the regions, Asia and Pacific. They wanted to integrate the region, economical potential, in order to tap the economic potential of integrating these two regions. That is the objective of this cooperation, and it acts as a premium platform for US to advance its economic aspirations in Asia. And also we have to know that the membership. So currently we have 21 members. Most of the nations are from bordering nations of Pacific region. So bordering nations of Pacific in Asia and bordering nations of Pacific in North and South America, right? Look at the nations. We have Russia, we have Japan, we have South Korea, we have China, and then we have Australia, and then New Zealand, and also most of the Asian countries, and also we have US and Canada. So most of the economic powers are part of the APEC cooperation. So that is why this cooperation is very important. And apart from that, so APEC is known for 40% of the global population. This countries, the nations, the 21 members accounts 40% of the global population, and also it accounts for 50% of the global trade, and also it accounts for 60% of US goods export. So this is the volume of, this is the economic and demographic size of the APEC cooperation. And also we have to know about the recent outcome, that is Global Gate Declaration. So apart from the economic aspirations, now the APEC cooperation is also moving towards the climate and environmental aspirations. So they wanted to create a resilient and sustainable future. It endorsed an agenda for climate change and energy security cooperation and coordination. So not only the economic cooperation, they wanted to move ahead for the environmental aspirations. So this is the recent outcome from the APEC cooperation. So APEC point of view, we have to know about the demographic and economical scope, that is population, it accounts 40%, and global trade, it accounts 50%, and export, US export, goods export 60%, and also we have to know that it is moving towards environmental aspiration as well. So now we have to know about India's aspirations. Yes, India also expressed interest to join APEC in 1991. Some of the nations supported, some other opposed. So here it is cited, it is seen that India is protectionist countries, the rules and the restrictions in India is hard. So that's why some of the nations opposed India's membership. Now we have to know about the importance of India of being a member of APEC summit. The first and foremost important is economic integration. Yes, it encompasses the two regions. So regions of Pacific in the American continent and the Asian continent. So Asia Pacific region as a whole, it encompasses. So it helps India to integrate to the region of Asia Pacific. The regional integration is possible, and also By using this APEC cooperation, India can effectively materialize or effectively implements its aspiration and to implement the Act East policy. So, Southeast Asian integration is possible through this APEC cooperation, and also in terms of trade integration, India can simplify and also India can harmonize its foreign export rules with respect to the global demands. So APEC collaboration will simplify and harmonize and also will help India to integrate its economy to the global powers. So that is there. Because of such integration, because of such integration with supply chain, like India can increase its export, India can attract more investment, and also the India can gets more advantage to promote its aspirational domestic policies such as Make in India. India can use this platform to enhance the cooperation of WTO. As of now, the dispute settlement mechanism becomes ineffective in WTO because of the extreme stance of United States. So that is problematic in nature. So here, APEC can be used. India can use this platform to get the consensus of US to have a well-functioning dispute settlement mechanism in WTO. That is possible. And apart from that, India can use this platform to diversify its free trade agreements. So already India came out of RCEP cooperation. So it encompasses the region of Asia Pacific. So what we can do is India can see APEC as an alternative forum to diversify its free trade agreements in future. So that is possible. And apart from that, India can use this platform to counter China, because China is actively involved in protectionistic measures. This is visible from trade deficit of India when it comes to the trade relation between India and China. So that is the problem. And also nowadays there is a problem that there is a slowdown, economic slowdown and strategic slowdown in the West. So there is a vacuum created, and this vacuum is actively captured by the China. China is also actively grabbing or expanding the regional influence. So in order to counter China, India can use this APEC summit. So that is also possible. Now we have to think from the Indo-Pacific aspect. So Indo-Pacific region, it encompasses both the Indian Ocean and its bordering nations, and also Pacific nation and its bordering nations. So it is larger regional perspective when compared to the Asia Pacific region. So here, so this is critical when it comes to the strategic point of view and also economic point of view. So first dimension, we have to highlight the geopolitical significance. Yes, in the Indo-Pacific region, that is Indian Ocean as well as the coastal areas of Asia, China is actively dominating its presence, and also we can able to see the increasing convergence of Russia and China, and we can able to see that the presence of China in the Indian Ocean as well, which means it is affecting the India's presence in the Indian Ocean. So in order to counter that, India is seeing Quad as an alternative option in which US, Australia and Japan are member countries, which means this Indo-Pacific region is now becoming a theater of conflict. So this is one dimension, geostrategic dimension, and also we have to think from the maritime security point of view. So we have important sea lanes of communication in the Indo-Pacific region. So in order to protect such sea lanes, it is very important, and also this region is very much important for India in order to contain pirates, terrorist activities, and most importantly, states belligerents. So China is actively involving through maritime Silk Route, and also by having more naval vessel presence in this region. China is encroaching into this region, that is Indo-Pacific region. So in this aspect also, India have to think, and also this Indo-Pacific region is known for major shipping routes. For example, we have Malacca Strait in the Indonesian islands. So this are securing the trade routes in the Indo-Pacific region is also important. And finally, the disaster point of view is also important. India is creating the viable network in this region, and also India is actively involving in disaster resilience initiatives. So in this aspect also, this region is significant. So in order to promote the India's aspiration from the point of Indo-Pacific region, also APEC summit is very important. So this we have to highlight. Coming to the next article, we have studying sea ice amidst penguins and the southern lights. So this article is related to the Antarctica. Exam point of view, we can expect some questions related to major research projects in Antarctica, and also we can expect the concepts such as northern and southern lights, and also we can expect some facts related to Antarctica and Arctic. So exam point of view, this topic is very important because we already had few prelims as well as mains questions in this area. So in 2015, there was a question related to India arc. They asked us to know what that particular mission is about. So that is the first question. And also in 2011, there was a question related to the reason for ozone hole in Antarctic region. And 2018, there was a mains question related to why India is taking interest on Arctic region. And 2017, another question regarding the cryosphere and its effect on global climate. So UPSC is keep on asking similar questions. So we are expecting similar questions in this area as well. So that's why we are discussing this article. Coming to the context part, recently United Kingdom launched a project called Defense in order to study, in order to assess the change in the sea ice in and around Antarctica. So from this project, we came to know about some of the interesting facts regarding the changes in the sea ice. So that is the context of this article. So first, we have to know about the projects. Defend. It is known for drivers effects of fluctuations in sea ice. So we have to give importance to the word sea ice. There is a possibility that in the examination we can expect some statement that it is related to land ice. There is a possibility. So we have to highlight that it is to study the changes in the sea ice. So second idea is that it is launched by United Kingdom, and the project goals are to check to understand the sea ice variability through ground-based radar system, and also they wanted to relate the impact of climate change on Antarctica. And also we have to know the key findings that in 2023, it recorded the lowest sea ice extent since 1986, and also they came up with the number that's almost 1 million square kilometers less than the previous record. So the extent of reduction is 1 million square kilometer. The extent of the problem is very high, so that we have to know. So factual idea, so it is related to sea ice. It is launched by UK. So they want to know the variability of the sea ice, and also they wanted to relate the impact of climate change to the changes in Antarctica. And also it is found that there is a huge reduction in 2023, so that we have to know. So with respect to the facts in Antarctica, so first I want to highlight the resources. So fresh water. So around 70% of the world freshwater resources are frozen in Antarctica. So resource point of view, that to freshwater resource point of view, it is important. And also biodiversity point of view, it is known for lichens and mosses, and also fauna. It used to have mites, nematodes, penguins, seals and tardigrades. And also few migratory birds also there. So that also we have to include. And also exam point of view, it is important that it is governed by 1959 Antarctic Treaty System. So in this system, they wanted to ban few activities, and also they wanted to regulate few activities. The first thing is that the treaty bans military activity, mining activity, nuclear explosions and nuclear waste disposal. And also it wanted to regulate the tourism, fishing and research activity in Antarctica. So we have a treaty called Antarctic Treaty Systems 1959. It used to regulate few economic activities and few research activities, and also it want to ban some of the activities which are hazardous to the ecosystem. And also we have to know about the India and its mission in Antarctica. As of now, we have two operational research stations. One is Maitri, that was commissioned in 1989, and second one is Bharati, that was commissioned in 2012. So these two missions are part of India's Antarctic program that was launched in 1981. In its third expedition, India launched a base called Dakshin Gangotri in 1983. So as of now, it is not operational. So that's why I mentioned that Maitri and Bharati are two operational research centers of India in Antarctica. India also successfully launched 40 annual scientific expeditions as of now under this program. And also we have to know that India is a party to Antarctic Treaty in 1983. So India also enacted a bill to regulate the activities of those missions. So India came up with the Indian Antarctic Bill in 2022. So in this, India want to propose that India as a nation is having an aim to protect Antarctica, and India also wanted to implement the mission by creating an institution named Indian Antarctic Authority and a Ministry of Earth Science. This will act as an apex agency to take decisions on this regard. Coming to the next article, we have World Health Organization survey on misuse of antibiotics. So exam point of view, we can expect a direct question related to antimicrobial resistance, and also we can expect question related to the initiatives. So global initiatives, that is also possible, and also we can expect some question related to the Indian government's initiatives on this record. So already we had a question in 2019. So in that question, they asked for the reason, the conceptual question, that is the reason for the occurrences of multi-drug resistance in India. So similarly, we can expect some similar question in the upcoming examination as well. So that's why we are discussing this topic. So moving to the context, recently, World Health Organization gave a warning that the increased misuse of antibiotics will lead to the undermining or reducing the efficacy of the medicines. So as a consequence, we can also experience the problem of the spreading of resistant microbes. So that is the warning given by the World Health Organization. So in this context, we have to know about what is meant by antimicrobial resistance. Yes, it is a phenomena in which the pathogens such as bacteria, virus, fungi and other parasites evolve over time. So it will evolve to resist the existing medicine. So in such a way, it will reduce the efficacy of the medicines. So if there is a reduction in the efficacy of a medicine in fighting against such parasites, then the treatment will become a challenge. It will increase the risk of disease, the disease spread will be increased, the severity of the illness will get increased, and there is a possibility of high mortality as well. So now we have to know about the status. As per the World Health Organization report, it is estimated that globally by 2050, there is a possibility of 10 million deaths due to antimicrobial resistance. So there is a possibility. So if you are going, or if the trend is following on this aspect, then by 2050 the mortality will be very high. That is 10 million deaths are possible. And also it highlighted that India will experience a significant problem because significant proportion of the people who get affected and the possibility of mortality is high in India. It also highlighted the India's vulnerability. So and also as per the Lancet Infectious Disease Study 2022, India is having the highest rate of antimicrobial resistance. That is the first idea. And also, over 70% of the bacteria are resistant to at least one drug. So look at the number 70%. So almost the bacteria is resistant to at least for one drug. So the problem is high. In terms of number is also high, and also the vulnerability and the increase in the evolution of the parasite is also high. So now we have to know about the causes for antimicrobial resistance. The first one is natural evolution. Yes, genetic mutation is possible, that is vertically between the generation. So evolution is possible, the mutation is possible in the DNA, that is vertical transmission is also possible. And apart from that, we have to know that horizontal gene transfer is also possible in parasites. So within the generation also, the mutant gene can be transferred from one parasite to other parasite. That horizontal transfer is also possible naturally. And apart from that, we have to know the misuse and overuse of antibiotics. So this is because of self-medication, increased self-medication practices, and also overuse of antibiotics in agriculture, that is in livestock rearing sector. And also we have to highlight that the prevalence of unhygiene environment, lack of clean water and sanitation is also another reason that antimicrobial resistance can be spread easily. And apart from that, we have to know, or we have to highlight the institutional capacity, that is the existing healthcare setting is not adequate enough. The infrastructural measures and capacities in India which we have is not adequate enough to contain the spread of antimicrobial resistance. So these are the three reasons for causes for antimicrobial resistance and its spread. And also we have to know about the concerns. The first concern is disease burden. So antimicrobial resistance, as we already mentioned, it increases the disease spread and also it increases the severity of the illness, and also it increases the prolonged nature of illness. For example, for pneumonia and meningitis, there is a possibility that increases the span of the disease, so that the burden of the disease will get increased. So that is the first concern. Second concern, there is a possibility that the antibiotics availability in the unregulated market is there. So over the counter sale of antibiotic is still available in the market. So which means there is an increased possibility of antimicrobial resistance is still there in India. So that has to be highlighted as a concern. And also surveillance mechanism is also poor. So we have to have the proper surveillance mechanism to assess the problem of antimicrobial resistance. So assessment has to be done properly. We have to know the magnitude of the problem. We have to know the number. So that is the problem. So lack of surveillance in India is also a problem. And also inadequate infection control measures. For example, poor hygiene practices, overcrowding, and the reuse of medical equipments is a concern, because as we already mentioned, lack of clean water, lack of sanitation will increase the spread. That is one thing. And increased population density, that is overcrowding. Especially this is known in cities. So increased overcrowding, high density will increase the rate of spread, and also use of medical equipments. This is a problematic in nature, because the reuse can have higher possibility of spread of antimicrobial resistance, and that is also an important problem in India. And finally, there is a limited research. So India have to improve its research. India have to commit more resources on this aspect to contain to create viable solutions to contain the problem of antimicrobial resistance. That is also a concern for India. Now we have to know about the government measures. The first one is infrastructure related measures. So National Program on Containment of Antimicrobial Resistance. Under this program, India wanted to establish a network of laboratories. Yes, we want to create infrastructure. We have to create the infrastructure network to contain the spread. And also, India is having a plan, vision plan, National Action Plan for AMR 2070, to increase the awareness, to enhance the surveillance and also to promote the research to improve the infection prevention. And also we also have Delhi Declaration on the AMR. So it used to create a platform, inter-ministerial consensus. So coordinated approach will be there because of this declaration. So inter-ministerial consensus is possible to address the AMR collaboratively. That is also there. And also we have antibiotics stewardship program. So under this initiative, ICMR will take initiatives to control antibiotics misuse in hospital. And finally, India is proposing integrated One Health surveillance network. It is very important because we have to promote the aspects of One Health, considering the health of the ecosystem, health of the human, and health of the animals. So we have to see it in an integrated manner to address the problem of antimicrobial resistance. So India is also proposing the initiative called Integrated One Health Surveillance Network. So in this aspect will contain the antimicrobial resistance by considering all three dimensions of antimicrobial resistance. And also India banned the use of colistin in the use of animal feed. The colistin, a chemical, is basically used as a growth promoter in the poultry field, is having the capacity of increasing the antimicrobial resistance. That's why the government took an intervention to ban such use in poultry sector. Now we have to know about the global initiatives. The first one is World Health Organization's initiative, that is Global Action Plan on AMR. So in this initiative, the World Health Organization emphasized the need for One Health approach. So that is there. A second one is Red Line Campaign. So Red Line Campaign is known for awareness. Yes, this initiative was started in 2017. So through this initiative, the World Health Organization wanted to create awareness by having a red line behind the tablet, that is antibiotics tablets. So in this aspect, it wanted to promote the responsible use of antibiotics so that we can reduce the antimicrobial resistance. Apart from that, we also have GLASS initiative established by World Health Organization to monitor the AMR trends and also to monitor the antibiotics use as well. And apart from that, we have to highlight the G20 groupings initiative. So we have a global action plan on AMR. It was launched in 2016. So the G20 nations committed to have an action plan to address the antimicrobial resistance. And finally, we have to highlight the Muscat's conference held in 2022. So in this initiative, the 30 countries came forward to discuss to adopt a comprehensive strategy to combat antimicrobial resistance. Coming to the last article, we have a Lake Project Threat to Sangai. So Manipur to center. So exam point of view, we can expect questions related to the Sangai deer, and also we can expect question related to Loktak Lake and also Cable Lemjo National Park. So we can expect some direct question from this article. Previously in 2017, there was a question related to the dancing deer. So location based question. So they wanted us to know from which place the dancing deer is known for. So this is the question. So we are also expecting similar question in this article. So that's why we are discussing this. So moving to the context, Manipur government has raised a concern with the center's recent proposal of hydroelectric modernization plan for Loktak Lake. So there is a possibility that this modernization plan will impact the ecosystem of the Loktak Lake. So this is the context of this article. Now we have to know about the context. Recently, the Manipur government raised a concern with the recent central government's proposal of hydroelectric modernization plan for Loktak Lake. So there is a possibility that this developmental measure can impact the ecosystem of the Loktak Lake, so that there is a possibility that it may harm the endangered Sangai species, and also it will affect the overall biodiversity of the lake as well. So that is the context of this article. From this context, we have to know about the basic details about the Loktak Lake. So first one is, it is in Manipur, in northeast India, and it is the largest freshwater lake in the northeast region, and it is known for its popular tourist destination. Apart from that, it is a Ramsar site, and it is known for its unique floating circular swamps called as pumudis. So look at this image. So these are the circular floating swamps. It is also called as pumudis. So this is important from the exam point of view, and it is also a home for Cable Lamjo National Park. So within the lake, we used to have the floating swamps, and this floating swamp is what we call it as Cable Lamjo National Park, and it is the only floating national park in the world. So that is the significant. And more about the pumudis, it is a floating masses of entangled vegetation. So the vegetation will get entangled to such an extent that it can create a platform on the lake itself, and it is because of the accumulation of organic debris and the biomass with the soil. So the vegetation will be there, entangled vegetation will be there, and then the deposition and sedimentation of the organic waste on the top of it, and there is accumulation of soil will be there. In this aspect, a floating platform will get created on the top of the Loktak Lake, right? And the thickness varies from few centimeter to 2 meters, and the floating swamp, it occupies 4/5 of the entire lake. So in this aspect, it is creating a floating national park in the Loktak Lake, right? And also it is known for brown antlered deer, and it is also called as Sangai deer, and it is a Manipur's state national animal, right? So now we have to know about the Sangai deer in detail. So this is the Sangai deer. So the common and other names are brown antlered deer and also called as dancing deer. So in 2017, they mentioned it as a dancing deer, not as Sangai or brown antlered deer. And it is only in Manipur, which means it is endemic only to the Manipur, and that is endemic only to the Cable Lamjo National Park. And protection status, it is endangered in nature, and it is a state animal of Manipur, and it is protected as Schedule 1 animal under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Now let's try some of the prelims practice questions from the above discussion. So first question, consider the following statements about the causes of antibiotic resistance. First statement, bacteria developing genetic mutations in the DNA. Yes, it is possible. So it is also one of the natural reason of vertical transmission of antimicrobial resistance from one generation to another generation. So first statement is correct. Second statement, self-medication. Yes, it is also another cause. Third statement, overuse of antibiotics. Yes, it is also another important cause. And finally, lack of clean water and sanitation. Yes, it is also correct. So answer all the four. D. Yes, it is correct. Moving to the second question. Which among the following countries are part of APEC group? So it is a factual question. We have to find a logic to eliminate the option. So one, Peru. Second one is Solomon Islands. Third one, New Zealand. Fourth one, Russia. So no need to memorize all the countries. So we have to know the major countries. So we have to know that, okay, India is not the part. At least we have to know that. And also we have to know that Russia, China, US, Japan, South Korea, Australia are partners of APEC cooperation. So that we have to know. And also we have to know that most of the bordering countries of Pacific Ocean are the members of APEC summit, that we have to know. Here we are going to use a different logic. So Solomon Islands is a smaller nation. So economical significance of that particular island is comparatively low. So there is less scope of having such islands into the greater APEC cooperation. So we are ruling out two. So Peru it is possible, New Zealand it is possible, and Russia we know that it is there. So answer is 1, 3 and 4. Option is C. Yes, it is correct. So third question, with reference to Antarctica, consider the following statements. It is the fourth largest continent on the earth. No, it is not fourth, it is fifth largest. So first statement is wrong. Second statement, about 70% of the world's freshwater reserves are frozen in Antarctica. Yes, it is correct. Third, the nuclear explosion and nuclear waste disposal are prohibited in Antarctica by Antarctica Treaty Systems 1959. Yes, this statement is also correct. And India is not a party to the Antarctica Treaty 1959. No, India is also a party. So first statement is wrong, fourth statement is wrong. Only two statements, that is second statement and third statement is correct. So two statements, option B is right. Yes, answer is B. Now let's try one mains practice question. India has been seeking membership in the APEC cooperation for decades. Critically analyze the potential benefits and challenges. So here it is a two-part question. So we have to give equal weightage to the potential benefits on one side, and then we have to highlight the challenges on the other sides. Try to give equal weightage and also try to highlight the directives given. Here they wanted us to critically analyze. Here the word critically analyze is nothing but a in-depth analysis, right? So moving to the answer. So first we can start with the answer with the introduction, that we can give the basic idea about APEC, what is meant by APEC, what are the objectives that we can introduce, and also we can give additional fact that India is aspiring to become to join APEC from 1991, so that we can add. And apart from that body part, we have to mention the potential benefits. There are two major benefits. One is economical perspective and another one is strategic point of view. So economic point of view, we can mention that it will increase the India's trade and investment opportunities, and also India can have greater access to larger markets and economies. So that we can highlight. How we have to add? So this is what we meant by the word critical analysis. So we have to add the dimension of how. So integrating with major nations, we have to justify the benefits by giving additional data, that the demography is big and also economics of the trade is big and also US presence is there. So harmonizing the foreign policy, the trade policy of India with the APEC will give more advantages in terms of economy, that we have to highlight. And apart from that, we have to mention the strategic benefits. So being a partner in APEC will give competitive advantage of India in the Indo-Pacific region, so that we have to maintain, and also it will give additional India soft power in influencing the global affairs. So here we can mention that how consensus, geopolitical consensus are possible by using this APEC cooperation, that we have to highlight. So here we can mention that most of the major nations such as US, Russia, China, Australia, Japan, South Korea, every nation, the economically as well as strategically important nations collaboration is there. In this aspect, we have to highlight the strategic significance from the members' point of view as well as a region point of view, that is Indo-Pacific region, that we have to highlight. And apart from that, challenges. So we have to mention the domestic economic policy compatibility. Yes, as of now we are maintaining the domestic policy, so which is slightly different from the expectation of APEC. So currently, in order to protect the domestic market, the rules are little rigid in nature. We are following a little protectionistic trend in India. So integration of India with the APEC wanted to make such policies lenient, so that will affect the domestic market, that is there. And also geopolitical dynamics and regional rivalries are also a challenge. Possibility that Indo-Pacific region become a theater of conflicts between the major nations. So convergence of China, Russia on one side and all other 4 Quad nations on the other side, so that it will become a regional grouping, the theater of conflict, there is a possibility. So that is also another challenge that we have to mention. And finally, in a conclusion, we have to mention that, okay, even though we have challenges, there is the importance of India in being a member of APEC. We have to reiterate the importance once again, and also we have to suggest some small measures to address the challenges to maximize the benefits of India's membership in APEC. So that's the end of the discussion. Thanks for watching. Do like, share and comment the video, and don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you all.